Well, Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer, he
Mhm.
has a podcast. He was on podcast, the NBA Draft Show.
Yeah,
For The Ringer.
him and J. Kyle Mann.
All right, J. Kyle Mann.
I like a good first initial period middle name.
Well, Kyle is an interesting middle
Mhm.
name.
It is, right?
You don't
see
hear
it too often.
Kyle as the middle name. Like Kyle is a first name.
Kyle J. Mann.
And he's a bro.
Yeah.
You know, all Kyles.
Mhm.
Love Kyles. But Kyle as a middle name, don't see it.
Mm.
Don't, because it's a standalone.
Yeah, it is.
It's not short for anything.
Kyler?
K-
Do Kylers shorten it to Kyle?
I don't think so. I think
Right.
you're just a Kyler
Right.
at that
Yeah.
point. Kyleford?
Ooh,
Huh?
that'd be kind of
Kylefin?
Yeah, they were born in West Virginia. Yeah,
Yeah.
Kyleford. Yeah.
Kyleford. What's your name? My name's Kyleford. Yeah, that kind of works.
Did we just create a new name?
I think we did.
I like it.
Yeah. Move over, Beckett.
Yeah.
We've got Kyleford now.
You can go by Kyle or Ford.
J. Kyle Mann. I have a friend named Kyle. You know what the other name was? That his parents were going to name him? Flavius, which was a swing and a miss.
I mean, that would have been a dope name.
Yeah, Flavius would have been awesome.
That's a hyper Roman name.
Yeah, it's a family name. Yeah, but Flavius, I was like, dude,
Are they like
you could have been
deep-rooted Italians?
No,
No.
not even.
Really?
Nope. But it's apparently a family name. I was like, so I just started calling him Flavius at that point, and he was just Flav from then on.
Yes, please.
Yeah. How can
No,
you?
that's
You can't
perfect.
tell me that your parents are going to name you Flavius and then me continue to call you Kyle for the rest of your life.
I can't believe they didn't make that the middle name. Of all things.
Yeah.
Like that's, yeah, all right, we'll choose this one, and then Flavius will be the middle. That would have been perfect.
Flavius would have been badass.
Flavius means yellow hair or blonde and was a surname borne by a family of Roman emperors.
Hey, he has blonde hair too.
That works.
But yeah, as I said, the super deep-seated Roman ties.
Damn.
Shout out history.
Could have gone Flavius.
Yeah.
Anyways,
And my wife and I are kicking him around right now. So
Flavius in play. Flavius Meringue.
Let's
Sounds
sneak
good.
that one in.
Strong name. Strong name. Anyways, how did we get there? J. Kyle Mann.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. He's on a podcast
Mm-hmm.
with Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer. They were talking Blazers and teams that are going to be moving up in the draft. And the Portland Trail Blazers were one team that was named because every team outside of Atlanta can move up in the first round.
Oh.
Huh? How about that?
Turns out mathematically possible.
Look at that. So let's start diving into it. Here's Kevin O'Connor.
I've heard the Cavaliers. They currently right now have the 20th pick in the draft. They're trying to move up. The Blazers with the 14th pick are trying to move up. The Raptors with the 19th pick are trying to trade up. I've heard those three teams specifically are trying to move into either the lottery or the top 10. Now, Portland already has the number 7 pick. Maybe they're the team that wants to trade up. Maybe Portland's trying to do, 7 and 14 to go all the way up to 1, or maybe they're trying to do 7 and 14 to 3 and then get to 1 or something like that.
Wait, what?
There's a very large difference.
7 and 14 to get 1 in. Do it. Do it. If you can get 7 and 14 in Atlanta, it's like, yeah, we'll take that. You can have 1. Yes.
If you believe in Sar that much, I think you can go down that path.
I do. Because, I mean, they're either going to get 2 guys that are, all right, we can squint and it could be dudes for us. Or you could get a guy who's the number 1 damn pick in the NBA draft who's 7'1", can run from rim to rim, and is really damn good defensively. Yes. I'd take him.
It's not a bad place to go.
I would love him.
The interesting here is he says, I've heard Cleveland's trying to move up. I've heard Portland's trying to move up. I'm hearing this team's trying to move up. Everyone's checking and doing due diligence right now. When I first saw this aggregated this morning, it read as Portland is trying to move up. And I went, huh? And I had probably half dozen text messages this morning from people like, what the hell is this, dude?
There is context in all of this.
And I went, look, if they're actively trying to move up, they are doing it under the cover of darkness because nobody is talking about Portland actively moving up. Doing due diligence of saying, hey, what would it take to move up from 14 to 8? What would it take to move up from 14 to 9 to 14 to 10? I have heard nothing about them moving up to 3 or 4 or 5. Because the prohibitive cost, no matter what draft it is, to get into the top 5 is always high.
Okay, let's talk about, because he mentioned 3, and I went, huh? With the Rockets, that would be the Rockets who sit at 3 behind Washington.
A
and
Rockets
Atlanta.
team that has flagged they don't want this pick.
Yeah. Okay. What would that entail, according to Kevin O'Connor? But okay, just be ready to yell at your steering wheel.
You mentioned the Anthony Simons, Scoot Henderson. They're two small guards. Like, you have to choose at some point between those guys. And maybe Houston, for all the talk about, Reed Shepherd going there, right? Like, they want that next Fred VanVleet replacement because he's 30 years old. He's only got 2 years left on his contract. Maybe Anthony Simons could be the guy that fits that. Simons is still only 24 years old. Maybe Simons plus 7 and 14 for 3. Something like that. I mean, to me, that's an interesting offer. It's a bit rich, I think. But if there's a guy the Blazers are targeting and that they can't get at 7, then I could see that, having some appeal, and you can sprinkle in some salaries and other assets and all that going either way. But as a foundation of a deal, 3 for 7, 14 and Simons, I'm into that.
I don't know what you're talking about. No. Strong, no. Like, yeah, no. My skin is curling.
Yeah, that's about sums it up.
Thanks, James.
What if you can take all of like the immediately viable assets you have and combine them for an asset that's not that great? All we have done is talk about
7, 14, and Ant for the number 3 pick.
Mm-hmm. And I think the Ringer had a thing about trade proposals where they proposed Anthony Simons at like the low end, or it might have been Bobby Marks. The low end was, if he got sent to Orlando, was Anthony Black, a first, and Cole Anthony. So a recent lottery pick, another first-round pick, and a viable rotation.
And I like Anthony Black. I do like Anthony
sure,
Black,
but
and a future first.
But you're saying now that
not 2025.
But you're saying, or a protected for, and it's from the Magic. They were getting better. Like it's not going to be that great of a pick. But you're talking about a recent lotto pick, another first, and a viable rotation player. So if Anthony Simons at the low end is worth that, and you're giving 2 first-round lottery picks, you're essentially giving up 4 first-round picks to move up 4 spots.
No.
Can I point out, by the way?
That's why I played James Franklin. My skin is curling. I don't know what you're talking
about. That is
the
kind of thing that makes you want to find the lowest bridge possible and jump off it. So you don't quite end yourself, but it causes severe head trauma.
Yeah, I need to point out, by the way,
so an overpass.
Not too high.
Okay.
Like the Ross Island Bridge. Something like it. or like
wildly specific.
I think it's the lowest one we got.
Maybe Tillicum crossing, yeah.
That's where I asked my wife to marry me. Nobody go jumping off of that, please. I do remember last year during the Blazers negotiations for
Wait, she said yes there?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
In the middle. What are you talking about? It was a beautiful view. Was that a bad spot?
No, it was good. You're fine.
Jerks. Anyways, last year when the Blazers had the number 3 pick and there was, talks before Damian Lillard was traded about trying to move that before they eventually drafted Scoot, the overall consensus, at least what I remember, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, is that nobody really wanted to do what you guys are saying right now that Kevin O'Connor's trying to lean on, which is really, really good assets for a possible good asset. Now, on the other end, the Blazers are expected to give up a really good asset when last year that wasn't going to happen for an okay asset. Is this just the Blazers fans' lives that we have to deal with here?
Yes.
Very frustrating to me.
Yes. Look, we have talked about so much how this draft, it's very flat. And if it's very flat, you don't need to move up like crazy. Look, if you want to entertain moving up from 14 to 8, 14 to 9, 14
and 14
to 10,
8 may be in play because San Antonio has 2 first-round picks in the 2 in the top 8 or
Look,
top 10.
If you told me that you were like, hey, we're going to give up Brogdon and the 34 to move up to 8. Okay, cool.
Yeah, if Memphis at 9 isn't completely sold
or if they
on
can't
a
move
big that is there, and there's like, whatever, we'll get some future asset that we can, because remember, second round picks are the cash considerations that we used to hurt. Those are now
they're valuable.
Second round
picks are valuable now. But again, like you look at those opportunities there, and if the Blazers wanted to get into the top 10 with their 14th pick, I would imagine it's because they want to grab 2 wings. One of like Tejon Saloon, Cody Williams, Dalton Connect. You grab one and grab the other. Or if Donovan Clingan fell to 7, you could get Clingan and then one of the wings. Because what's going to happen is let's say you want Cody Williams. but you also want Donovan Clingan. If you're picking at 7, you can't let Clingan get beyond you because Memphis will move up to get him. Okay, so you take Clingan at 7, but if you do that and you're not before 10, Utah's going to take Cody Williams. So if you jump in front of them to 8 or to 9, then you can get both the guys you want. And in that case, you're giving up very minimal capital to do that if you believe that's your guy. This is not a draft I would move up in.
Mm-mm.
But if you can move up a couple spots from 14, because that's where the flattening happens basically is like around pick 4. You're just like, all right, it's your grab bag. And if there's a guy that you want a little bit more than another guy, and you can give up your 34th pick to do that, I'm okay with that. That's not skin off my teeth. Like I'll go with that. But moving up 7, 14, and Anthony Simons to number 3, oh boy.
You got skin on your teeth?
Yeah.
Ugh, gross.
It happens.
That's makes me feel very uneasy. Not giving up Anthony Simons though. I honestly
Not for that.
You lost me for 5 seconds after you said skin off my teeth, and then I picked up Anthony Simons.
Yeah. It's a cross euphemism that my old first sergeant used to use.
But you are right though in that you are sitting there and you're looking at this is not the draft to do that in. Next year, if anybody's willing to do it, hell yeah, you're aggressive. You try to make any move that you possibly can to get up in that draft and get any of those guys that you target and you covet. But this one, it just doesn't seem like that one. I would be all for the Blazers moving up into the top 10 as long as it's behind where they are at 7. Draft at 7, and then pending where you go. Like the scenario you just laid out with Donovan Clingan at 7. If that's the guy Memphis wants, they may be willing, and you take him at 7, they may be just going, well, I mean, we're rolling the dice then at 9 if we want to go with a big. And if we're not in love with who it is, maybe they are willing to move down a little bit more.
Well, here's the other thing. What if you go this route and you find a deal, what Brogdon 34 for 8 or 8 Brogdon in 14 seems too much to move up to 8. But let's just say that's what they go with. Okay, so now they have picked 7 and 8. Well, the clock hits on 7, and you're up, and Clingan's there, and you like Clingan, but Memphis is like, hey, we'll give you Santi Aldama 9 and a protected first because we really want Clingan. You give us 7 and Robert Williams. And now you're picking 8, 9, and you know they're taking Clingan because you're going to make the pick for them. So you now have 8 and 9. And you get both wings you get. You move a contract around on Robert Williams, who, even though you love him, are you married to him because of the injuries? Memphis is saying, screw it, we're in his.
And you get a future first.
And you just turned Robert Williams into a future first. And
it's not, that future first is not going to be next year. It'll be down the road.
Let's say 2026. It's fine. But you turned Robert Williams, who you got from the Damian Lillard deal, into a future first.
Yeah. And then,
which is what you've always wanted to do with him.
100%. Him or Brogdon, you were hoping to get a one out of those two guys.
Yes. And if you do that, and now you pick 8, 9, so you control.
Outside of the one you already got from Boston, too.
Yes.
Remember that.
On top of the 2, because you got the Golden State one, and you got Boston's, and then the swap. So you've now pushed yourself back, and you're picking back to back, so you can pick whoever you want. If you want both wings, you take both wings.
I'm picking up what you're putting down there.
But
I am. That makes way more sense.
And like if you're maneuvering in that range, the 7 through 14 range, particularly the 7 through 9 range, that's where I think you can do some things, and that's where you might see some. If I'm going to see movement in this draft, I think it's more likely going to be there because even though this draft is flat, and even though Team X believes this, Team Y believes that, I genuinely believe that the odds are so flattened out.
Yeah.
After Sarr, that, and hell, I keep hearing that the Hawks might take Reza Shea 1, but I can't. I can only see them taking Sarr or Clingan 1. I can't. I like Reza Shea, but the reason I think you can take Sarr or Clingan there is because of their size.
Yeah.
With Reza Shea not having the playmaking or creation ability off the bounce, it's very hard for me to see him being a number 1 overall pick.
All right, there's your Blazers draft talk. We got some in today. That's the latest. The skinny from Kevin O'Connor, the Ringers NBA Draft Podcast, is saying a lot of things about Blazers and potential moves up and what they're hearing. This is not like a foregone conclusion, though.